So when I went ahead and I played through the MSQ, I had an experience where I pretty much beelined it. And the reason why I beelined the MSQ and I didn't get too distracted with too many of the other side things is because I like playing story games in a way that builds up momentum. And when you're going through the MSQ, you kind of pick up a momentum, you get immersed in the story, you move from plot point to plot point to plot point, and you stay immersed the whole time. Now, if you go ahead, or if I go ahead personally, and I take a long break and I come back, I forget where I am, I'm not as invested in the story anymore, and it takes quite a while to get re-immersed into the story. This is how I went ahead and I played Witcher 3 as well. I went ahead and I did the main story and I did the side stuff later. And it's typically my approach to story games in general. Now, there are obviously a lot of downsides to this, and the big downside for me is I didn't really get to experience Eden and Shadowbringers, and I didn't get to experience the whole Ruby weapon questline either. So now I'm going back, now that I'm done with the MSQ, and I'm doing a few of these things. And for the rest of the video, I'm going to be talking about spoilers for Eden, some very mild spoilers for Eden, as well as some mild spoilers for the Ruby weapon questline as well. And so that's your warning. And yesterday, one of my friends said, hey, why don't we go ahead and do the Eden storyline? And I said, sure. So I was going through it, and I got really intrigued with the story, with the empty, and how, there's the first Sin Eater, and we're trying to restore Ether to the empty, and we need to make sure we take down the Sin Eater. And it was all fine until we started getting into the relationship between Rhine and Gaia, right? And personally, when I was going through this, I found a lot of these moments for myself, and hear me out here, hear me out till the end. I found a lot of these moments cringe. I cringed at a lot of these moments where Ryan's like, oh my God, Gaia, I love you. I love your outfit. Your hammer looks nice with your skirt. Or she says, we need to go get biscuits. Every time a moment like that happened, I found myself cringing, right? And I got about 2/3 through the storyline before I'm like, I can't take this anymore. I'm going to take a break. I'll finish the rest of this tomorrow. So I stop, and my buddy goes to bed, and I start playing with another buddy. And my second buddy says, hey, have you done the Ruby weapon questline with the Sapphire weapon and the Emerald weapon? I'm like, I started it, but I never finished it. And they're like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. And so I started getting through that story, and I started doing that questline. And I found myself so much more immersed. I loved the cutscenes. Everything about it was intriguing, and I was having a really good time. And there was a scene during that questline when Rex and Rykon were talking about the Sapphire weapon. And Rykon, is sacrificing himself, is putting himself on the line for his, kin to, go ahead and mount the Sapphire weapon and do his duty, do what he has to do. And I found this really, really intriguing. And I was like all about it. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. This is great. I love this story. And then I realized something. Isn't that exactly what Ryan did for Gaia? Sure, Ryan did go ahead and she, is being extra nice to Gaia, and Gaia's being a little bitchy, and, they're building this friendship, and it's cute, and, there's biscuits and skirts and all this sort of stuff. And then it dawned on me, isn't that exactly the same thing that Ryan and Rykon are going through? Rykon is displaying his loyalty to Rex via his actions. The same way that Ryan is displaying her loyalty not only to Gaia and, the Warrior of Light and the Scions, but to the first, right? The first shard as well, by going ahead and going out on a limb and risking herself as Shiva. It's the same thing. What's the difference? The difference for me is that the scene with Gaia and Ryan and the relationship between Gaia and Ryan, I mean, is a little bit more cutesy, a little bit more, it's nice, it's cute, it's heartwarming than the relationship between Rex and Rykon, which is a little bit more like stoic and, we're not going to show any emotions. And then once this dawned on me, I realized, dude, the only reason you're cringing at one and preferring the other is because one is a little bit more cute than the other. One's a little bit more stoic and, hardened up. And the other one is, a bit more nurturing and a bit more, on the cute side. And then when this dawned on me, I realized, dude, you're literally having a gut reaction due to, the way you grow up, your personal experiences. And when this dawned on me, I realized something pretty critical about the game. And the thing that I realized that's critical about the game is that it incorporates so many different types of stories, right? You have stories that are cutesy. You have stories that are, really deep and philosophical. You have stories that are funny. You have stories that are, really emotional, like that scene, and here's an Endwalker spoiler in 3, 2, 1 between Oriange and Moonbray as parents, and I did cry at that scene, right? And so there's all this variety, and I think the reason why that is because there's so many different types of people who play Final Fantasy XIV. But when you have that much variety in a game, it creates two situations. On one end, you have the MSQ, which modulates all of these different themes and has nihilism and the meaning of life and slapstick comedy and light comedy and trials and tribulations and friendships and cute stuff and dark stuff, and it has it all. So it is through this modulation that someone who might have particular propensities like I do, like all of us do, we all have our individual life experiences and we all have, the places where we're coming from, and we're able to see things from a new perspective and experience, stories that we personally didn't have in our personal lives or we can't really relate to that much. It might create a situation where you got reactions like, I don't like this. This is new. This is weird. This does not correlate to my life experience. It doesn't move me in the same way because I can't relate to it as much. But when you go ahead and you go through it with an open mind, what this does is it expands your ability for empathy. It expands your ability to understand other people that have other perspectives, and fundamentally notice that what is going on with them isn't that different than your experience. And the human experience has a lot more commonalities than we tend to give it credit for. The relationship that Gaia and Ryan have, although, superficially looks very different than the relationship Rex has with Raikon, isn't really that different at the core. It is two people looking out for each other, being loyal to each other, going out on a mission, trying to get done what they need to get done. Some of them might sit down and eat biscuits and, at the Crystarium, and some of them might put on the more hardened stoic vibe, but they're both fundamentally doing the same thing. And that's the realization I had. Now, also, not only do you have the situation where the MSQ is modulating between all of this, but what else is brilliant, I think, is the individual side quests, right? Because the Ruby Weapon quest is a side quest, and the Eden quest is kind of a side thing that was optional. You didn't really have to do for the MSQ. You can lean more into, very particular themes with side stuff because they become optional. Another example is the Hillebrand questline, which is extremely slapstick and, extremely like shonen anime, right? And, you're able to like really niche and do these themes more in the optional stuff because people aren't forced to do it. So you're weaving this all together for the MSQ. And additionally, you're letting these side quests or these side stories specialize in these things, which, creates a situation where if you want to go and experience new things, you can. If you don't and you want to just, do the quests that inspire you. Like, I have a feeling, I haven't done it yet, but I have a feeling I'm really, really going to enjoy, and I'm really going to resonate with the Dark Knight questline. And I'm going to go do that. But now I also realize that it might be beneficial to me to go ahead and do a Hillebrand and, approach it with a more open mind and to pay attention to my own gut reactions, because my gut reactions will teach me a lot about myself and, how I've been, socialized and how I grew up. And, whenever I notice myself having a moment of cringe like that, it's going to serve as an indicator to me that this is an opportunity for you to have empathy and to understand different perspectives that you might not have considered before. And that's all I had to say for this video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.